industry and technology. They are going to invest in a plant that manufactures this parabolic solar thermal converter. They are different from the two other solar systems that we are familiar with. There's a PV solar that changes the sun's ultraviolet energy into electricity. There's also thermal hot water systems that consist of flat plate collectors with a tank. I think a lot of these are already installed in Homestead. But these ones are more like industrial processes. They are parabolic, high precision geometry to focus the sun's energy, thermal energy, or the thermal component of the sun's energy into a pipe that then turns water from normal room temperature, first of all into hot water, and eventually into steam up to 160 degrees centigrade, which is almost supercritical steam. So this technology is new in Southern Africa, and we very much expect that our factory, which will be built in Harare, in collaboration with ZESA Enterprises, will be propagating the technology and its products throughout Southern Africa. Thank you very much for your audience. I once again pay tribute to both the ZESA and the Absolicon teams, as well as the Swedish government, which I understand is going to provide a CEDA-based guarantee for financing the debt portion of this investment. Thank you and good afternoon.
Thank you, the Executive Chair of ZESA Holdings. Genesis 1 verse 3. And the Lord said, "Let there be light." That was the day solar energy was conceived. So solar energy is that old. When the Lord said, "Let there be light," that is the day that solar energy was conceived. So the same solar energy is what is talked about by the executive chairman. We convert that solar energy into thermal energy stored in water as hot water or into steam. And we use that hot water for domestic applications, and we use the steam for industrial applications. So that's where the project is going. Where we were using coal to heat water, we replace with solar. Thank you, Executive Chairman, for elaborating that. At this moment, let me call the remarks from the Mr. Joachim of Absolicon. Mr. Joachim.
Thank you. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I must say we were super happy when Dr. Gata visited us in Absolicon in Sweden, because we seldom meet someone who actually understands the energy system of a country. Really. Most people think that their country is run on electricity, but electricity is only a small part of the energy consumption. In the world, electricity is 20%, transport is 30%, and heat is 50% of the total energy consumption. So when you buy a pair of jeans, or if you buy something to drink, that is produced not by electricity, but with heat. And we have part of this solution, because we are going to get more and more people in the world who need all those daily goods, who want to have orange juice that has been pasteurized with steam, or who want to have a headache medicine that has been produced with steam. And we can no longer produce all this steam by burning fossil fuel in our industries. Our industries need to turn to use the sun to produce this heat. And what we have done in Absolicon is that we have developed the best solar concentrator in the world that turns 76% of the incoming solar radiation into heat that we can use in a factory. But the challenge is to produce those collectors. And for this we have partnered with ABB, the robot factory, and we are now ready to deliver robotized production lines that mass produce concentrated solar collectors that can heat water and steam for industries around the world. And in Zimbabwe you have a special situation as well, because you have had very cheap electricity for many, many years, And some of your industries actually use electricity to make heat. But as the electricity consumption increases, this electricity will be needed for air condition and domestic houses. And besides building a lot of new electricity production, we can also replace those electric boilers in industry with solar thermal, and in this way get a virtual power plant that saves electricity that can be used otherwise. So we are very happy today to be here and to take the first steps towards starting a robotized production line mass producing solar collectors in Zimbabwe. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Joaquin, for assuring us that there will be production of solar collectors in Zimbabwe. This is a very good and novel initiative where the production of those devices will be done in our country. Thank you very much. Just for clarification, in solar thermal technology, we classify thermal heat into 3 classes. There's low temperature applications. That's where we use hot water for domestic use. It's low temperature applications. Where we use flat plate collectors. These are called flat plate. You see them on the roofs. This is low temperature. Then we have medium temperature and high temperature applications. Medium temperature, high temperature applications is what Mr. Joaquin is talking about, where the heat is then used for industrial processes. Thank you very much for that. At this moment, may I request Mr. Joaquin and the Executive Chair to move to the table for the signing on ceremony. And may I request the Honorable Minister to stand on this side of Dr. Gata as a witness, and on the side of Absolicon, we need a witness on the side. There's no witness. There's no witness. Mr. Lasson, yes. Mr. Lasson, yes, yes. On the side of, yes. Mr. Lasson is the President of the Sweden Business Council. So you may proceed to append your signatures. And for, okay. Okay, then we need shaking of hands and the display of the contracts to freeze the moment for the cameraman. Yes, yes. Okay, thank you very much for the event. Another round of applause for this milestone event in the solar industry for Zimbabwe. Thank you very much. May I call for, at this stage, for the ambassador, Ms. Airambui, to give us some remarks. Ambassador.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chief Secretary. Thank you, Minister. Thank you, I'm not sure I should even thank you after those remarks, Dr. Gata. But for me, this is the most exciting that I've had to witness. This started with a 10 p.m. phone call to Dr. Gata. Very frustrated as an ambassador, having seen the things that were happening in Sweden with no electricity, very cold, minus 15 sometimes, and still with solar. And thinking, why not in a country where we have the abundance of solar? So I called him, and he immediately promised that he was going to come to Sweden. And that's when Lush organized for us, and we immediately went to see Absolicon. And so the journey began. I don't think people have an appreciation of the kind of revolution that this will bring, not only to Zimbabwe, but to Southern Africa. But I'm sure when it is rolled out, we will understand what this means. I'm a lawyer by profession, but I was trained to be an engineer in 5 days through this particular project. So all I can say is congratulations. Thank you very much for the work that you have done, Dr. Gata, to bring this to fruition and your team. But most importantly, let me thank Absolicon. Let me thank the government of Sweden, because this, I think, is the beginning of a new relationship between Zimbabwe and Sweden. And I'm looking forward to many more of these projects coming, to delivering on the issues around climate, which again Sweden is a leader in. And I think this says you walk the talk. So thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. Indeed, we are walking the talk. Thank you very much for that. I think another round of applause where we do the transition. At this moment, due to time constraints, I will delve into the next section of the program, where I will request Greenco, Miss Anna Aijuka, to come on stage. Let me clarify that Greenco came to Zimbabwe some 4 or so years ago. We had meetings with the ministry, and also we had another engagement at ZESA Holdings, at the ZESA Training Center. They gave us their proposal in which they want to be an electricity retailer. And so this is a culmination of discussions that have been going on in the past 2 to 4 years. I am aware that they are a bit more advanced in Zambia, and this is actually one of the key milestones for us in Zimbabwe. But before I go into the details of that, I will call upon again the Executive Chair of ZESA Holdings, Dr. Gata, to come on stage and give us an overview of this project. Dr. Gata.
Thank you again, Master of Ceremony. I believe I have dispensed already with all the protocols, and we'll move ahead to try to explain, to give an overview of the crucial importance of this agreement. It would have been better actually for Greenco to field first and describe themselves, because they will be more competent at that than myself, but I'll try. Greencore, the details will be given later, have come to Zimbabwe. They've been in Zambia. They came to Zimbabwe to leverage investments in IPPs, in particular for renewable energy. What that means is that in our case, Zimbabwe is a very, very enterprising nation. In a matter of a few years, when this idea of solar PV solar projects was conceived or introduced to Zimbabwe, there already have been 104 licensed IPP companies to provide various sizes of solar energy, which would have avoided all load shedding, all imports, and in fact promoted exports. Altogether, in fact, we have almost 7,000 megawatts of licensed IPP projects, most of them solar. Very few of them have seen the light of day. This is because the investors, most of them are offshore investors, very keen on Zimbabwe. They require a government guarantee to underwrite the performance of ZETC as an off-taker. So these projects are anchored on what we call a power purchase agreement. But it carries three vectors of risk. The first one is called the capacity risk, and that risk speaks to the capacity of ZETC to be able to pay for its commitments on a power purchase agreement with an IPP company. But as long as we've always had, regrettably, a tariff that was not cost-effective, none of the 104 projects could move forward. I am so grateful, Honorable Minister, for the efforts yourself and your distinguished and honorable colleagues have made in the past few months to deliver a cost-reflective tariff. So there is now already a flood of investments, current ones, past ones, and even new ones that are coming to Zimbabwe to invest in the energy security of our country. Now, in the absence, the second vector is there's a capacity, which means tariffs. There's also currency risk, but we have mechanisms that are not relevant to this afternoon's meeting that will try to alleviate that burden. I won't go into any further detail on that. The third one is, of course, the sovereign risk, which applies to all infrastructure everywhere in the world. I think the Minister of Finance is giving adequate guarantees on that account. But what Greencore has come to do is actually to assist both ZESA and the government by providing a mezzanine guarantee structure whereby they will issue commercial securities to assist IPPs to reach markets. They will provide up to 18 months cash cover so that if there's any default on ZETC or any other customers, they will step in and cover that risk. They want to call it, they will describe it in more technical terms than I can, but they call it a route to market security. Very, very enterprising concept. We have diligently assisted Greencore to secure all the authorities, permits, licenses, authorizations in Zimbabwe, including accessing through our colleague here, our distinguished Chief Executive of the Southern African Power Pool, who is here with us today, to access markets in 11 other countries that are interconnected to Zimbabwe, and have a trading platform that is shared with Zimbabwe. So Greencore, in a nutshell, they are coming to cushion the risk on performance of ZESA, both the government and Zimbabwe, in anchoring IPP investments in our country. The company is owned partly by the British government and also by the Danish government, which means that it is an enormous balance sheet. I'm only surprised that they're starting in small ways, but I know that the experience of Zimbabwe they will gain is perhaps the most enterprising they can expect on the continent of Africa, and I mean it seriously. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, the Executive Chair. Without going into any other discussions, may I request the Ms. Anna Ajuka to come on stage. Ms. Anna.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It's an absolute honor to be here. Honorable Moya, pleasure to see you. Dr. Gata, thank you very much. The journey started with you and the team at ZESA and ZETDC with incredible support from the Ministry of Energy and ZERA and all other participants. Honorable Dovu, Honorable Minister of Women's Affairs, all permanent secretaries and all protocol observed. I'm delighted to be here today at this milestone meeting. The ability to integrate renewable energy into the systems across SADC requires the ability of the private sector to compensate the utilities for the work that they do on a daily basis, namely the integration of such renewables into the system in the most optimum manner. For that, up until now, the IPPs would generate and they would connect to the grid of a particular country or utility, and the rest is the end. If we are to open up the markets, leverage the Southern African power pool, which sits at the heart of Zimbabwe, and bring new investment into private generation in Zimbabwe, the utility has to be compensated for their services, meaning system operations to ensure stability of the system and easier integration of the scale of renewables that has to come on board, and secondary, use of system, meaning wheeling across the system that the utility owns. Those are the two agreements, ladies and gentlemen, that we have finalized with ZESA and ZETDC team under the leadership of Dr. Gata, and they, we believe, are going to be exemplary not only for the energy sector in Zimbabwe, but as precedents for the rest of the region in the SADC. The route to market that Dr. Gata referred to is the route to the Southern African power pool, meaning that the investors into a single generation project in Zimbabwe not only look at Zimbabwe as a sole country risk, but they look at the blended pool risk of the entire SADC region. We have a deficit. Thank you very much. We have a deficit which is so incredible. I live just next to Harare in Lusaka, but I spend about 1 week of every month and increasingly more in Harare. That situation shouldn't be as it is. And looking at it through a regional lens of a country that sits at the heart of the interconnectedness of the Southern African power pool is the only way to de-risk and de-link the payment obligations for the renewable energy supply from the fiscal of the country. The indebtedness levels of most countries in sub-Saharan Africa simply cannot accommodate the required level of new generation. And if we look at the mining investment into Zimbabwe, those companies and others of the industrial type can and should pay the affordable and appropriate tariff that we have seen has recently been quite rightly increasing in Zimbabwe. As the biggest users, as a country that relies on its GDP growth on mining output and that is increasing that investment, seeing that increase, those very mining companies will need to be more competitive in the global commodity markets, therefore showing themselves the decarbonization route of their supply chain. Therefore, they have to be part of the journey of compensating the utilities and the producers for the new power generation and delinking it from this, the fiscal and other liabilities of the country itself. So it gives me a great honor to again recognize in particular the ZESA and ZETDC teams for the opportunity to sign these two major investments today. We believe it aligns with His Excellency President Mnangagwa's vision for Zimbabwe when it comes to increasing more investment in energy production, and of course this will underpin the underlying drive towards economic growth. If you would forgive me, Honorable Moya, I just would like to give an opportunity, as discussed with the protocol team, for our two major investors and the Executive Secretary and Chief Executive Officer of the Southern African Power Pool to give us more remarks, because this that we are signing today is truly the signing of not only our collaboration between Greenco and ZETDC, but recognizing the collectivity of the players that were needed to bring us to where we are today. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce you to Mr. Søren Peter Andersen, who is the Deputy CEO of IFU, which is Danish government's investment arm. And we are delighted to see the commitment not only of the government of Sweden, but also of the government of Denmark when it comes to investing in the renewable energy supply in Zimbabwe. So Mr. Søren, if you may grace us with a few remarks, followed by Marco Serena, who is the Chief Sustainable Impact Officer for the Private Infrastructure Development Group. They're a development investor funded by the UK government, the Dutch government, and the Swiss government. Also for a few remarks, and Sweden, of course. And so you see, we are closing the circle, ladies and gentlemen. It takes many of us. And then, of course, last but not least, just a few remarks from Mr. Steve Dia, because our entire model would not be here, would not be realistic, would not be implementable without the existence of the Southern African Power Pool, and without the grace that we receive, that every single utility of the Southern African Power Pool has accepted our membership as the newest private sector of the Power Pool. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Søren,
Thank you very much. Please come on. Yeah. May I also request that you make your interventions as brief as possible. I am aware that our principals have another event if they want to attend. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I can only congratulate the Zimbabwean institutions and Africa Greenco on signing these agreements today. The Danish Development Finance Institution is very proud to be an investor together with Pitch Infraco in Africa Greenco. We believe a lot in the potential that has been described here today. We also know that it's an arduous journey, and this is really a major breakthrough for the initiative after several years of very hard work among everybody. So we salute you, and I can say, coming from myself, a country, Denmark, that benefits greatly from having a regional power pool, which allows greater investment also from the private sector into our power infrastructure. This is a model that can work and that can realize a lot of potential, I believe, also for Zimbabwe and for the Southern African region. So congratulations.
Good afternoon. I'll also be very brief. Congratulations for this important moment at the Private Infrastructure Development Group. We believe in bringing private sector investment in Zimbabwe. In 2020, we've funded the Bay Bridge border post through our debt fund to the tune of 44 million euros from ourselves for what is a very large program. And we've done that through our most commercial part of the group, the one that has private sector investment on top of the investment from the owners and donors that Anna has mentioned before. Last year, we continued investing in Zimbabwe in mobility for Africa, electric vehicles, focused in rural areas, and it gives me great pleasure that tomorrow is the inauguration in Harare of the factory. And next week is the inauguration of the training course for Zimbabwean to work in that factory, in the supply chain and value chain of the future. But we're committing to the electricity sector in Zimbabwe and in the country. And that is why when we invested in Greenco, for us, it was always very attractive, the fact that it's not just Zambia, but it's Zimbabwe as well, and it's the region, and it's the Southern Africa Power Pool.
It's a very important step today. We congratulate leadership of the minister and the leadership of the Zimbabwean institution and Greenco. So thank you very much.
Certainly riding on a protocol already observed. Just like my two colleagues, let me say congratulations to Africa Greenco. Congratulations to the government of Zimbabwe through you, Honorable Minister, Dr. Gata and your team. The Southern African power pool is a thriving electricity market. And it is through such developments like we are witnessing that that market becomes more liquid. In other words, more players come in, and I'm glad the two of them explained very well where the utility is being placed, where it belongs in terms of facilitating the movement of power from IPPs through to the rest of the region. And I think this is something that the rest of the countries should look up to in terms of having more electricity in the region through a fully developed market. Once again, congratulations.
Thank you very much. I take it that Madam Anna, you gave us some interesting remarks on Greenco, which is coming, the key word is that they are coming to de-risk investments by private players whom we call IPPs. That's the bottom line. And for that, we thank you very much, Greenco, because this has been an albatross for us in the ministry. In the energy sector, our projects have some challenges in terms of risks. So any interventions that de-risks investments in that area are very welcome. At this stage, I want to go back to the salutations and indicate that amongst us we have members from Parliament. We have Ms. Joanna Mamombe representing the Portfolio Committee on Environment and Climate Change, as well as Madam Mufumina, also representing the Portfolio Committee on Environment and Climate from the Senate, as the chairperson of that committee. May I put a round of applause for our parliamentarians? Thank you very much for gracing this occasion. At this moment, let's move to the next stage, which is actually the signing ceremony. Again, like we did before, Dr. Gata and Ms. Anna at the center, flanked on this side. Okay, we may proceed to append our signatures. shaking of hands to signify the binding contracts. Thank you very much. Another round of applause for the U-Dawn, where we see contracts signed, which, like I said before, their main input is to de-risk energy projects. Ladies and gentlemen, the last part, where we are going to have closing remarks from the Honorable Minister of Energy Power Development. Honorable Minister Moy.
Thank you very much, Dr. Zibuku, the Minister of Energy and Power Development. That's me, eh? I also want to recognize the Minister of Environment, Climate and Wildlife. I think it's just gone out. The Minister of Women Affairs, Comrade Mswangwa. Let me also recognize the Deputy Chief Secretary, Reverend Gamasane, our ambassador to Sweden, our colleagues from GreenCo and from Absolicon. Let me write on the protocols already established for the sake of time. Today is a momentous occasion as we gather here to witness the signing ceremony that marks a significant step towards a cleaner and more sustainable future for Zimbabwe. I'm delighted to announce the establishment of Absolicon's robotic manufacturing plant, which will produce solar collectors and provide fossil-free heat, replacing the 1,400 coal-fired boilers in our country. And I think this fact has already been given. The establishment of Absolicon's robotic manufacturing plant is a testament to our commitment to transitioning to clean and renewable sources of energy. With the production of solar collectors, we aim to significantly reduce our reliance on coal-fired boilers, which have been a major contributor to carbon emissions and air pollution in our country. This initiative will not only help us achieve our climate goals, but will also provide clean and sustainable heat energy for various sectors, including industrial, commercial, and residential. The partnership between ZESA Holdings and Absolicon is a prime example of the power of collaboration. By joining forces, we can harness the expertise and innovative technologies offered by Absolicon to drive the growth of renewable energy in Zimbabwe. This collaboration will not only create job opportunities, but will also contribute to the development of a skilled workforce in the clean energy sector. Furthermore, the signing of the System Operations Agreement with Africa GreenCo represents our commitment to ensuring the successful integration and operation of renewable energy sources into our national grid. Africa GreenCo's expertise in providing security and guarantees for renewable energy projects will be instrumental in supporting the development and deployment of clean energy solutions across Zimbabwe. This partnership will unlock new opportunities for investment in renewable energy and pave the way for a more sustainable and resilient energy system. I would like to express my sincere appreciation to Absolicon and Africa GreenCo for their commitment to partnering with Zimbabwe in our journey towards a sustainable energy future. These agreements would not have been possible without their dedication, expertise, and shared vision for a clean and prosperous Zimbabwe. I would also like to extend my gratitude to all the stakeholders involved in making these agreements a reality. Their hard work, determination, and belief in the potential of renewable energy have brought us to this momentous occasion. Together, we are taking significant strides towards achieving our climate goals and ensuring a better future for generations to come. As we celebrate these landmark agreements, let us also recognize the importance of international cooperation in addressing the global challenges of climate change. The ongoing COP28 in Dubai provides a platform for nations to come together, exchange ideas, and forge partnerships that will pave the way for the global effort, and we remain committed to playing our part in the global transition to a low carbon economy. In conclusion, I'm filled with optimism and excitement as we embark on this transformative journey towards a cleaner and more sustainable energy sector in Zimbabwe. The signing of these agreements today marks a new chapter in our nation's history. It's testimony of His Excellency's mantra, Zimbabwe is open for business, and our commitment to triple our new renewable energy environmental stewardship and a brighter future for all. I want to thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. And we can end this with a round of applause to thank the Honorable Minister who graced this occasion, and also to thank everyone who was here. To thank everyone who was here. One last thing. Okay, we may request those who are standing in the front, who are seated at the front, to come for a photo session here. It's the last point of the yes, Honorable, for a photo session with the Minister. Rev, please.
Sitting in front, so I don't know why.
Okay, thank you very much. Can you enjoy the rest of the day? Thank you.